Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Crowe, multimedia editor at Progressive Grocer. Welcome to Top Women in Grocery, a podcast focused on the topics, trends, and interests moving women forward in grocery retail. We're spotlighting extraordinary women in the grocery industry who have had successful careers and interesting lives, and who are also making a positive impact in their workplaces and in their communities. I'm here today with Amina Pasha, Chief Marketing Officer at Thrive Market. With more than a decade of experience in CPG marketing at P&G, followed by a pivotal role at The Honest Company, she serves as the safeguard of the mission-driven e-commerce grocer, tasked with humanizing the company's mission, making healthy living easy, affordable, and accessible to all. She's integrating the marketing team to drive a clear story across every member touchpoint. Under her watch, the company reached more than 1 million members in 2020, was recognized as the largest grocer to ever receive B Corp certification, and raised more than $13 million in healthy groceries for those affected by food inequality. Amina, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for the very warm intro and welcome here.
Of course. I'm hoping to start. You can tell us a bit about your career journey and how you landed in your current role with Thrive Market.
Well, that is definitely a bumpy journey, a long-winded and fun one, which I hope everyone's career is. So, I actually started my career at P&G at Procter and Gamble. So, been a very classically trained marketer over the 20 plus years in my career. And I was fortunate to work on a lot of big businesses, big brands, and globally. So I worked both outside the US, I worked both in the US, I looked at the global markets, and I worked on brands like Pantene, Pampers, and Wella, Oral-B, and Crest, and whatnot. And I remember when I had my son, having a child is such an inflection point in your life. It got me thinking about all the products I was putting in, on, around me, but it also got me questioning a lot about what I want to get out of life and my career. And I remember having that thought of, I could just spend another 15 more years and retire from P&G and have a very financially stable life. But there was something inside me that was still very much itching to do something more. And I really wanted to work for a more mission-oriented brand. And with all that baby and beauty experience, The Honest Company made a lot of sense. They had reached out to me just when I was expecting, and I said, there's just no way. Then they reached out again after I was expecting. And then I said, okay, you know what? Let's go and see what this is all about. And so, believe it or not, in my maternity leave, I went and interviewed with them. And I just was so inspired by the mission. Wow. I met with Jessica Alba. I was inspired by her vision. And they had a whole new strategic leadership team coming. And so I went and took a VP marketing role there in early 2017. And then from there, got to learn the entrepreneurial side of running a business, mission-oriented, very digitally native led brand. About 2 years in, I met Nick Green, founder and CEO of Thrive Market, a brand that I had observed and was just very impressed with because of, not because of their marketing, but because they were truly an underdog brand doing things the right way. And mission was truly the soul of what they do. And here we are talking about food, what you put right into your body. And so, in 2019, I ended up taking this role at Thrive Market. And just very recently, I've hit my 5-year mark at Thrive Market. And I have to say, this has been the best 5 years of not just my career, which it certainly has been, but of my life. And I think it's just been because the values of the brand and the company and of myself have been so intrinsically connected. And I've been fortunate that I even had my second child while being, a C-suite leader and leading and whatnot, because I had the ability and capacity to, and because it's part of the lifestyle, right? And so, yeah, it has been a series of changes to come here. I would say the first 6 months at Honest, maybe even more, was very traumatic. Coming from a big company with lots of processes and lots of people, all who have been vetted, to the nth degree to get to where they are. Suddenly you're a little bit in the wild, wild west where you have to define the strategy. You have to figure out, do you have the right team? You have to figure out, do you have the right process, the culture? How do these things all connect? Those first 6 months were not easy. And on top of it, I was a new mom. So I was also trying to navigate motherhood. And so one of the things I remember doing at that tough time was just calling out for help. So my husband was like, I've got the house. I'm going to pack that up. You just start your job. I had my mom and my mother-in-law both rotate coming in as my nanny. And then eventually I got help as well. But it was an all hands deck situation to make that, career move happen. It was not just me making this career move. It was my family all coming together to help me make this big career move, because the timing was obviously not the best one. And so I often now look back and I say, did I make the right choice? Absolutely. Was it the best time? No. But in many, many times, you will find this, that you will get the perfect opportunity, but not at the perfect time. And so, how can you surround sound yourself with the help that you need to get you through it? So that's been my ride and journey, and certainly, it sounds a lot more fluid now, but during the time, it was lots of ups and downs and lots of emotions and all the things.
I know that. It truly takes a village to sort of get where you're going.
Exactly, exactly. That's exactly right.
So, Thrive Market's member experience component recently came to fall under the marketing function. What can you tell us about how marketing and experience are two sides of the same coin?
Yes, we've strategically formalized it now, but I would say marketing and experience have always been interconnected. And the way we've looked at, experience, we feel like all of the company's functions all ladder up to that member experience. So we are, an online, healthy and sustainable grocery store. We're also a membership. And when you are charging for a membership, the expectation is so much higher, right? You're coming into a community of like-minded members. You're coming into an experience where you expect it to be, state of the art, health, conscious company, but also with values that are making your life easier, making it more convenient, on time, and elevating your expectations too, so that you feel delighted and wowed. And so, even prior to the shift, all of the different functions are owning that, and we actually had our CEO looking at it across all of the functions to make sure that was happening in the best possible way, and the end-to-end experience for our members best in class. The shift we are now making is to have a single threaded leader who just happens to sit in marketing, because marketing is very connected to experience. But now we're going to have one single threaded leader who's going to own the end-to-end experience from the time they become a new member to the lifespan and life cycle of their journey with us, and really looking at what we call, there are these key moments of truth, right? As you become a member, obviously that first unboxing experience, the product selection, the first time you navigate the app, all of these are, kind of moments of truth. We used to call them at P&G, but I like using that term, that builds an impression of you, right? It's like if you and I were dating, all of the touches we have, whether it's a text message, whether it's the first time you're in a restaurant or a second, it's the same thing, right? You're starting to establish an impression of me, right?
Yeah.
And so the reason we moved into marketing is a lot of those channels are owned within marketing already. And the ones that are not, we're going to start governing more to make sure the experience is seamless and integrated. And it feels like almost like a single human touch that is happening to you, versus like right now, it can be a little bit disjointed and dysfunctional on how we are connecting the dots to you. Now, when you enter, it's almost going to feel like a concierge level service of experience that you're getting. And we're even thinking about how can we surprise and delight this person, because we are direct to consumer. It's not just about getting you the right products at the right time, at the right, place. That's, to me, table stakes. It's now about what can we do that makes your experience unforgettable, right? Whether there's something special in that box, or we personalized, your shopping experience, or the cart that we're recommending to you now is going above and beyond with the AI recommendations that we have. To me, this is all marketing, right? It's all part of this integrated, up-leveled experience. And so by having one single threaded leader who works cross-functionally across all these departments and has a clear scorecard to how we measure and improve an experience, we expect to be going from table stakes to really five-star, world-class experience. And so that's what we're most excited about.
Awesome. So, speaking of members, how do you work toward bringing in the right members for your company?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this one has been both of an art and a science. As marketers, we all know there is an easy path to growth, and you can gamify the system, and you can use promotional tactics and build up the numbers. But that is often not a sustainable or ownable strategy, because someone else can come into the market and offer even bigger discounts and promotions than you. And so for my team, the real shift has been, on getting the right goals. And so we started first with really defining how do we measure higher quality. And that is going to be largely through lifetime value. And what is our current lifetime value and what is our predictive and expected lifetime value? And that's the gap. That's what we need to close from where our baseline is to where we need to go. And using this lifetime value as our North Star, whether it's for member growth now or it's for even member engagement, that has been a redefining moment for us to really think about higher quality customer or member growth, is what we call it. One of the biggest strategic shifts we've made is, I would say, more than 50% of our messaging used to be savings related. Now, less than 5% of our messaging is savings related. 95% of our messaging is quality
Wow.
standards related and convenience related. Those are the top two value drivers for our consumer. And that came from a lot of customer research and learning. And so, one of the big pivots we made about 18 months ago was redefining who our target audience is going to be. And, when you're in the health space, it's often very easy to say, just get anybody who's interested in healthy. But that's actually very hard to achieve, right? And so, when we started narrowing on who we want to focus, we made the strategic call to really focus in on what we call today our wellness champion parents. This is a psychographic that is really interested in both the health of their bodies, but also the conscious side, the sustainable side of the planet. And we said we want to focus on parents because parents have children and their families really matter. And they're the ones for who quality is really, really important. Then we sat down with the merchandising team and really said, how do we articulate what our quality standards are? You all do so much work since the day we've launched this company, and we really articulated the formula behind our quality standards. And once we were able to capture that essence, we started communicating that to these wellness champion parents. And we were able to shift the messaging over. We were able to see that parents have, roughly a $40 higher LTV. We were actually able to reduce cost because we were able to acquire them more efficiently because now we know how to get them through our army of influencers, through our paid social creative. And we've been able to spend limitless time with them, understanding their insights, what are their key challenges, their barriers, how do we help them solve life problems, not just talking about our brand promise, but really help them solve these problems of there's just so much artificial dyes, there's so much hormones in our food that we're eating, and there's over 10,000 chemicals, and how, by having the leading standards in the industry and restricting over 1,000 questionable ingredients, we are helping you reach those health goals in a smarter way. So that is how we've been able to really make a check on getting a high quality customer growth or member growth without having to sacrifice. Because a lot of times people say, oh, you can do that, but your CAC or your cost of acquisition is going to go up. We have actually shown you can have your cake and eat it too. When you're strategic, you're focused, you can actually be efficient on the CAC side too. And our LTV CAC ratio is continuing to increase. And so those have been some of the key drivers for how we have really chiseled and focused on high quality members.
It's so interesting because you're both finding those high quality members, but you're helping them. You are showing them
Yes.
the ways that they can help their family live healthfully.
Exactly. And to me, that's like we're just articulating our mission, but we've just done it in a way that's been much more provocative and thoughtful than just saying, hey, you can save. Yes, you will save with Thrive, but there's so much more to your health than just savings, right? It's actually about what you're not putting in your body and the artificial ingredients and all of that. So we've actually, to your point, we're just selling our mission and articulating it better than we've ever done before.
Great. Well, you mentioned a couple types of marketing strategies that you employ at Thrive Market. I'm hoping we can
Yes.
dive into those a little deeper.
Yes.
We talked about real-time mission marketing and micro-influencers. What can you tell us about both of those and how they're used?
Well, we actually use them interconnectedly. So the real-time mission marketing, to me, that's the part that excites me the most. We, unlike some of these bigger brands, we are able to see in a disaster an issue and intervene immediately. So when we saw, like, recently the hurricanes hitting, whether it was Milton or Helen, we within 24 hours we had a recommendation, an action plan of how do we support this? How do we shift our donations at checkout towards the people who are impacted in these specific areas and get them, what they need, both through groceries or stipends or whatever. And so we immediately can activate that. Then we have, an army of evangelists, is what I call them, our influencers, right? We have over 3,000 micro influencers.
Wow.
And we start communicating and letting them know that we are pushing out these disaster relief efforts. And for the ones who are, values are tied exactly to those disaster reliefs, they automatically start embedding that messaging and saying, like, hey, then Thrive for the next, 15 days is donating to these causes. And if you shop and you check out, you can donate here. And then on top of it, the beauty of it is they add on what they are going to do. And so there were a couple of influencers saying that, for the first 5 people donate, I'm also going to donate XYZ. And you start creating this movement out of a real time mission marketing activation, right? And to me, it's less about marketing, it's more about activating. We are now activating a movement. We're actually able to help and support in a way that individually we each couldn't have, but now collectively as a community and a conscious mission oriented community, you can give back in multiples that you couldn't have before. And so that's a great example of real-time mission activism is what I would call it. And then your second part was, what do we do with these micro influencers? So a lot of people don't know our story to existence actually came from these micro influencers. When our founders and CEO were trying to fundraise, the people who helped us the most, both in the beginning and even now, were these health experts, because they fundamentally saw Thrive and believed in Thrive's mission and reason for existence before anybody else could, because they were right in the space. And so many of them have been equity holders of the company from day one. They're not the faces of Thrive; they're actually the people of Thrive, because they have a stake in the game, and they helped us to raise funds and capital from the beginning. And so that is how this whole expert evangelism started from the beginning, and then it just fueled as TikTok grew and Instagram grew and all and whatnot, that we ended up getting more and more health and wellness and value aligned experts along the way. And now we have 3,000 and we tier them. We have a few that are what we call the macro. So you have like the Mark Sissons, you have the Thomas DeLauers for high protein and Mediterranean lifestyles. But then you have this army of 2,000 plus micro influencers, some of who are just, absolutely lovable as who they are. So we have like, Joey Fu, who is a stay-at-home dad, and he is struggling with just like the day-to-day struggles of managing all of that, and so he will do a grocery haul, or he'll do a fridge haul, and he'll take out everything in his fridge and put all the new Thrive goodies in and tell you what he's bought and why he bought it and what he knows, and be really transparent about what he doesn't know. And the authenticity these influencers are able to have really connects with our community, because they're able to give you authentic ratings. And they will say, I love this, I'm not too sure about this product. And here's why I love this product. And here's why I'm not buying this product. But that authenticity really resonates with our community, because they get a point of view on which products to try and not. And it has a very high cart conversion rate. So we actually are able to then see the products that particular person who saw this influencer ad went and bought, and how they were actually influenced and helped out in many ways on what those product selections were. So our micro influencers also not only help in that real-time disaster motion, but they're also helping us build that community and build that momentum and build our membership and really help our members know what to buy, why to buy it, and all the benefits they got out of their membership in ways that we as a brand could not do. So they really are an extension of us and a true brand evangelist for us. And so yes, that has been a secret weapon and powered sauce for our ability to scale and grow.
Very cool. You were talking about how Thrive Market started, and it is now celebrating its 10th anniversary this month, and you've launched a new campaign of gratitude. Can you tell us how that came together and just a little bit more about the campaign?
That's something that we're very excited about. Ironically, Thrive's 10 years and my 5 years have also coincided. So this is a time of many moments for me personally. But seeing Thrive reach its 10 years has just been such a big milestone for us. We call ourselves Thrivers, employees of Thrive Market, that we wanted to take a moment to actually reach out to our community and hear from them why they love Thrive Market. And we were so overwhelmed by the responses we got, from our mission to our products to the membership. There's so many reasons why they love Thrive Market that we made a whole gratitude campaign thanking our members and use their testimonials within that campaign to really launch, all the iconic achievements we have reached together as a community in the last 10 years. And when I look back, I mean, many of them were in the last 5, but throughout this 10-year period, every year we achieve something iconic, from being the largest B Corp grocery store to hitting, now $16 million in food equality funds and donations raised, to hitting times 100, for most influential companies, to crossing 1.5 paid million members. I mean, just each of these, it's iconic and heroic in its sense. But it was really nice to go back to why our members love Thrive, and to be able to reach out and just thank them as well. And so we're doing some social giveaway campaigns. We're doing some really big internal Thriver celebrations to thank our employees as well for all of the work they've done. And it's been just great to hear the two-way feedback we get from our members and from our community, and celebrate that for this 10-year Thriversary.
That has to be such a powerful part of the campaign, to say our members believe in us this much.
Totally. I think there's just like, we are a very human brand. And then when you hear this humanizing aspect, I mean, we have so many different members, of such a diverse range of members as well. And then we have our Thrive Gives members. And then this year we got our EBT Snap as well. We were the first e-tailer or e-grocer to get EBT Snap approved. And then to hear those members and their encouraging and enriching stories of how their lives have been improved and impacted from being able to use their Snap EBT cards now on Thrive Market. So there's just such a range and diversity of who our member is. Our member is truly diverse, spread across Midwest, Southeast, age range as well. And then to hear all their stories, it just really helps humanize who we are as a brand.
That's great. And as a fun little aside, talking about Thrive Market and members and everything, I'm curious what products from the market are always in your cart. What are you reaching for when you are shopping Thrive Market?
Well, the big insight is I have 2 young but very fast growing boys. And so there are a lot of snacks that are always in there. My favorite is our Thrive Market fruit circles, which is a game changer innovation. They're these little healthy, no added sugar fruit stickers, basically, that you can peel off, and the kids love them. My younger one will have 2 or 3 in a day. Literally, I have to buy boxes and boxes of these.
I'm going to buy boxes here soon.
I personally love all of our nuts. Yeah, I love our nuts, our sriracha cashews, our mixed nuts. They're a game changer. But we also use it for a lot of our kind of pantry staples and essentials. And so this is the season of all things pumpkin. So I'm making a lot of pumpkin pancakes, pumpkin cinnamon waffles, and so King Arthur pancake mix. I also use our Thrive Market almond flour. I mix and blend those two with our canned pumpkin, which is the best pumpkin. I buy it year round now, and it is literally the best pumpkin. And that's a quick and easy meal in the morning to throw in there, and your kids are actually eating pretty much a whole can of pumpkin, which is super healthy. So love those two. And then Rouse is one of our favorite pasta sauce. And I love the Goodles mac and cheese. So Gal Gadot's little innovation there, that mac and cheese can be healthy. And I think that's often the kind of myth, is that, healthy is seen as can't be tasty, definitely is going to be expensive, can't be easy. And here we are debunking all 3 of those, that you can make it tasty, your kids are going to love it. And these brands are, constantly coming out with new ways of dialing that up. So Simple Mills does amazing cookies. So we do their chocolate chip cookies, and they're all made with almond flour, right? And so even though we're not gluten-free, whatnot, it's just, you don't feel inflated after eating, cookies or having these pancakes that I make. And so I do think with Thrive, you can have your cake and eat it too. It's just take some time to be a smart shopper and invest in yourself. And so those are the staples, as well as the extra virgin olive oil from Thrive Market. It's from Crete, and it is amazing. Okay. You have to buy the big one, because those go by so fast. So, but they're great. We use it for everything.
Awesome. Well, I have a new couple items for my shopping list.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Get those fruit circles for yourself too. They're really good.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. My son loves Goodles, so I'm definitely making a list over here.
Oh yeah, Goodles are. I mean, yeah, they've become like such a fun staple, and it's yeah. I've started eating them too, and I never would eat mac and cheese. I'm like, well, these
Same.
are high protein,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna have these.
Exactly. There's leftovers. It's fine.
Totally, totally.
Well, shifting gears, I know you were instrumental in standing up an employee resource group for women at Thrive Market. What
Yes.
can you tell us about that, as well as the new mentorship program at the company?
Yes. So about, half of our half of our workforce are female, and about half of our leaders are female leaders. And so when I came in, this was a provocative insight that we have such a profound, talented female leadership team at Thrive Market, within which in my marketing team, I will proudly say 80% of my leadership team is female. And then being female and being minority and knowing the stats of minority female leadership is even smaller in the US. I felt that we really needed, an employee resource group here that really not just celebrated but empowered, recognized, helped women, and one of the other big insights is women, and myself included, we're just naturally not good at networking, right? And so you need to have a mechanism that helps connect you together. And so the very first year that I joined in 2019, we started brainstorming, and we created Women Excelling in Leadership and Learning, the WELL program, and we launched that in early 2020. And actually, I had seen this done already in Honest, so that's why it was inspiring to have seen it in another company, but then build it for how we want to set it up for Thrive Market. And then we established it, and then we started really brainstorming the key principles of it. And so the first one was we wanted to build a community of like-minded women, but we also wanted, to have a vision of how do we make it one of the best workplaces for female and female leaders. And we did a lot of surveys and questions, and one of the things we learned is, career progression and help in career development is needed, and that led to a desire for mentoring, right? And so then earlier this year, we formally kicked off our first mentoring program. It was actually the first mentoring program for the company. And it was a pilot that we said, let's run it with Well and see how it does. And it was very successful. We had about 15 mentors that are signed up, and each of us then meets with our mentees once or twice a month. And we coach them from everything on building a career vision, on understanding capabilities, on how you get there, how to have these tough conversations with your manager to help build a roadmap for you and architect it, and really help coach these, rising talent and rising leaders on how they can make it to the next level and climb up the ranks. And what does career progression even mean? It's so personal and different. And so helping them define that even is part of the step. And so we got tremendous feedback, so much so that we are now releasing a mentoring program across the total company, inspired by the one that we led at Well. And
Amazing.
so, yeah, it was a great pilot, because not just for the Well team, but now we really see it as a need across the entire company, and are about to roll out a mentoring program for the total company as well.
Wonderful. And finally, what advice do you have for women in the industry still coming up through the ranks? Like one of your mentees, what would you say is some of your best advice?
I mean, some of my best advice has been, you know, understand expectations, right? With every role, I think sometimes we don't ourselves know what are the expectations. And then be vocal about what your expectations are. Once you hear what your manager or your one-up's expectations are, have you shared back what your expectations are on your career? And I remember when I came in at Thrive, I can share my personal experience, which I often do. I came in as an SVP level. I was not a CMO, but I had a very frank conversation with my boss, who was the CEO. And I said, look, for me, I really want to make it to CMO. And, what will it take on your side? And he told me, this is what I need to see. And then I said, okay, this is what I can sign up for. And then I asked him, realistically, how long do you think this will take? He goes, oh, I think this is going to take at least a year or so. And that's what we agreed to, and we signed up like that. And 6 months later, I came back to him with a written document, and I told him, I have achieved all of this, And so we sat down and had this amazing conversation. And he only asked me one question. He said, are you ready for this? And I was like, yes, I am ready. And so it happened earlier. Now, none of that would have happened if I never had that sit down conversation, if I didn't know what his expectations were. He didn't know what my expectations were. What am I looking for? What is he looking for, right? And then circling back, right? The follow through is the most important. It's like coming back when you've actually achieved those things and having things in writing while you're ready, not just talking. We do a lot of talking. Write it down, because when you write it down, the reasons come clearer, they're more articulated, and then take it back with your manager and have that conversation. And it's been one of the most pragmatic examples. It's something, ironically, my dad taught me. He was like, don't just walk in there. He's like, have it written down, like have it stamped on a piece of paper. And I took that practical example to life, and it happened. And so often I saw it in myself that we are not that demanding. We wait for it to happen. It's not going to happen. Your career is in your hands. You have to make it happen. You have to get your manager to articulate what's needed. You have to give it all you can to achieve it, but then you got to circle back, and that's one big piece of advice. The other one, which I've sometimes messed up myself in my career, is you've got to network and you've got to stay connected, and stay in touch with those mentors, particularly when you're making big life or career moves, and not just career, life moves. And I remember I was making a life choice and I did not call up my mentors. And I still to this point go, why did I not reach out to them? Because they could have given me a different advice. But I made it it was like I had confused myself so much, saying, oh, it's a life decision, therefore it should only be me. No, your mentors can help you with both, because they can help you see the big picture. And I think I would have gotten different advice had I gone to some of my mentors then and seen life and career as one part of your life, right? It's an important part, but it's one, right? And they help you to connect the dots. And so make sure you fuel those mentor relationships. And just because you're a C-suite leader doesn't mean you don't need mentors. In fact, I still need a lot of my mentors' help to help guide me, navigate me. And that learning never ends, right? And so the third piece is invest in yourself, right? Whether it's attending, summits, connecting yourself with peers or thought leaders, learning AI, you have to keep investing in yourself. This is an area where a lot of us get lazy and be like, well, I'm really good at this one thing, so I'm just going to stay. The market is going to change dramatically in the next 10 years. It's changed so much in the last 10 years. What I was as a traditional marketer 20 years ago, I mean, it's 1% now of what I am now, right? And so we have to continue to build, invest in ourselves, get out there, go and see what's going on with AI, go and see what's happening there, read knowledgeable books, ask other leaders what great books they're reading, keep investing in yourself, because that is how you will stay, left of trend, how you will stay ahead of the game, right? And how you'll continue to be desirable in today's, volatile market. So yeah, those are the three biggest lessons I have. And it's, there are times where I've not done it and I felt a step behind, but there are times I have done it and I felt a step ahead. And so that's the kind of binding advice I'd give to all the rising talent out there.
That's amazing advice. Amina, thank you so much for sharing your insights and for being here with us today.
Awesome. Thank you, Emily, so much for having me. It was wonderful.
For more information about the Top Women in Grocery podcast, please visit www.progressivegrocer.com/podcasts. You can also subscribe to this podcast wherever you typically listen, including on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Finally, do you have an idea for a Twig podcast topic? I'd love to hear from you. Send me an email at ecrowe@ensembleiq.com. See you next time, and thanks so much for listening.